Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 76 of Be With Me. We're in the book of 1 Corinthians, and we're in chapter 16. It's the last chapter of the book of 1 Corinthians, and Paul is making some plans for travel. He's describing a 4,000-mile trip that goes from Ephesus through the Macedonian peninsula down to to Corinth, which is is west of Greece, and then goes back to Jerusalem and eventually goes to Rome. And here's the deal. He doesn't survive the trip. His life ends in Rome. So this is a one-way trip that he's describing here today. So it starts in Ephesus and ends up in Rome and ends up with his death. So in the meantime, we find what Paul is doing, and he is making decisions. And one of the decisions that he's making is he's making a decision for a particular person, which is Timothy. So he's going to end up continuing to mentor Timothy. Why? Because Paul's not going to last that long. And he's leaving behind Timothy. And he's leaving behind those in Corinth. So here we go. Listen to this. It's from 1 Corinthians chapter 16. I'm going to start in verse 5. He's making some plans here. He says, I will visit you, the Corinthians, after passing through Macedonia on the Grecian peninsula, Macedonian peninsula, for I intend to pass through Macedonia, and perhaps I will stay with you or even spend the winter, so that you may help me on my journey wherever I go. For I do not want to see you now just in passing. I hope to spend some time with you if the Lord permits. But I will stay in Ephesus until Pentecost, for a wide door of effective work has opened to me, and there are many adversaries. When Timothy comes, see that you put him at ease among you, for he is doing the work of the Lord as I am. So let no one despise him. Help him on his way in peace, that he may return to me, for I am expecting him with the brothers. So we have this long journey. We have Paul on a one-way trip. And what does he do? He decides to continue mentoring and encouraging and charging Timothy. Timothy's probably younger. We don't know the exact distance in their age, but he's younger. He's often described as a young person. Paul continues to encourage him, and he needs help on his way. What traveler doesn't? He's doing the work of the Lord, and he's on his way to Paul in Ephesus. So just a word about mentoring. What an encouragement to all of us in the church today. Are you involved with mentoring? Encourage the younger folks. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It's just mentoring is encouragement with lunch or breakfast as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so then I want to emphasize in this passage is Paul is intending to pass through Macedonia. He says, perhaps I'll stay with you. I don't want to see you in passing. I hope to spend a winter with you. So you see Paul here making decisions and desiring and hoping and planning. Because, why? Because the time is short. And then we find out what is on Paul's plate. And we see him here in Ephesus. He's in Ephesus for about 2 years on the third missionary journey. So this is probably 55 AD. And he's been with the Corinthians earlier for about 18 months, so he certainly knows them and wants to get back to them. But right now he's in Ephesus, and here's how he describes what's going on in Ephesus, what's on his plate, so to speak. I just love this combination. For a wide door for effective work has opened to me, and there are many adversaries. So it's got a wide door for work, but also adversaries. So bottom line here, what can we expect in the Christian walk? Well, number one, expect work. So work is, and work when the door is wide. Christian work is described as labor. You remember just a couple days ago, we talked about 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58, where he says, therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abound in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. So Christianity is full of work and labor, and that is actually what is Christian waiting. So he's saying, in the end, the sting of death is going to be gone. Death is going to be swallowed up in victory. In the meantime, work. So expect Christian work. And I guess I would ask you, what door may be opening for you? And may that work be with effect. So we see here Paul pushing emphasis towards the Corinthians and towards Timothy. Why? Because Paul's not going to be around forever. But this isn't all rainbows and puppies here. He says, expect adversaries. That's why they call it labor. That's why they call it work. That's why it's going to be a bit of a sacrifice. So Paul here is resolving in his spirit. And I love this passage because it expresses some liberty in Christian decision making as we go forward in life and we collide with the future. We have an opportunity to decide, to discern while it is today. And it's going to be work, and there is going to be some adversaries. So today is about planning and about liberty and about decision making and about the freedom and in deciding. And we get to pour ourselves into people. So my encouragement today is, let's use Paul as an example. We see him deciding and thinking and planning. And what does he do? He continues to mentor Timothy. He continues to encourage the people that he's encouraging. And specifically here, it's Corinth. He's already written Galatians and Thessalonians. So he's thinking about people, maybe thinking about his demise, which is going to happen in Rome after this 4,000-mile journey gets done. He's going to kind of go the wrong direction, going to go east, and then eventually he's going to go west in the Mediterranean and end up in Rome and not going to survive that trip. So it's a few years down the road, but my point is we're all on the same path. We're all on the path of having limited time. And I don't know if your limited time is 50 years or 5 minutes. I don't know. But in the meantime, let's do what Paul did, which is mentor and focus on people and continue to make good decisions and expect work, all the while having a couple of adversaries. Thank you for listening. Be encouraged today. Continue to encourage people in your world. I'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing.